Hello guys, I have no idea how this works or if this is even going to work, but we are live. Fuck me. Let's go public. Let's go public. Here we go. Now we should be able to see this. Hello and welcome. I thought to myself, why not just set up an impromptu stream? You will notice this is a very impromptu thing. I have no idea. I'm still setting things up here. You know, I'm still setting things up over here, but we will be able to watch this pretty soon. I think we can make this a little bit smaller like this. Yeah, it fits into frame perfectly. I still don't have the chat on screen, which I need to. This is very, very impromptu. You know, I was ready to watch it by myself, and then I was like, why don't I quickly set all of this up real quick so we can actually watch this today. And that's what we're going to do. The thing is on screen. We have the music. It should everything be fine. I have not set anything up for this. I think the major problem is I would need to make a thumbnail and everything, which I don't know. I'm going to create a thumbnail afterwards and swap it in, put some disclaimers on it and whatnot. But yeah, I didn't really think there was going to be a lot in this. Can I auto-generate the thumbnail, please? Let me see what I can do with my wizard magic here. Thumbnail. I don't have a thumbnail. Do you have an old Monster Hunter Wilds thumbnail? Monster Hunter. Let's use the demo thumbnail for this. Here we go. Oh yeah, I need to change my socials tab as well. Here we go. This is all very, very unprofessional, but I don't care at this point. Oh yeah, we also got 2 new subs, so shout out to the 2 people who subbed during today's Monster Hunter Rise stream. Actually pretty cool. Stream title is just Monster. It's just reaction. Community update reaction. Game title is going to be Monster Hunter Wilds. Thank you, thank you. I'll be here all day. But yeah, I have everything set up in a way, I think. Let me get my chat so that I can write real quick. But that's going to be it. Okay, we're live. And this is very, very impromptu. I didn't plan on streaming at all. I just decided that this is going to happen today, 10 minutes ago. And I impromptu set everything up so it works. So let's get into it, shall we? Shall we react to this?
Hello everyone and welcome to the Monster Hunter Wilds pre-launch community update. My name's Jono, EME Community Manager on Monster Hunter.
Hey everybody, I'm Joe. I'm the Capcom USA Community Manager
Hi guys.
on Monster Hunter.
and welcome to our broadcast, which for the very first time will be bilingual in English and Japanese, which is a brand new concept for us. So we hope you enjoy it.
Okay.
And you'll probably not be surprised to find out why we're having it in English and Japanese, because as you can see, we have two very special guests with us. We have Monster Hunter Wilds director Yuya Tokuda, as well as Patrick from Capcom Europe, who will be translating for us. Hello. It's great to have you guys. Thank you so much for coming. Now, Joe, we've introduced our esteemed guests. We've said hello, but why are we here today?
Yeah,
The
today's a
captions are
really
going
special
crazy.
stream. Again, we have some special guests here
Let's
joining us.
put off the
and
captions
We'd like
real
to share
quick.
a sincere thank you to everybody out there who participated in the open beta test that we held at the end of October. And today we're going to be spending some time talking about how a lot of the feedback from that open beta has influenced the development of the main game.
I'm honestly a horrible
Just to kind of
reactor.
recap, the open beta was held with a couple of goals.
Honestly,
The
I'm a
first, I
very
think,
bad
most
reactor
obvious
because I
one
don't
is,
really
we were
react
able to
to.
give everybody a
Because
chance
if
to play the
it's
game,
something new that I
new
don't
hunting
know about,
experience
I
in the
don't know.
game,
I just
and,
don't
it was
want
great seeing
to
everybody's
talk too much
responses.
to it.
But the second part of
on
that was
it.
really to
But
test
yeah.
the different technology that's in the game, things like network load and game operation. So it was really great to see everybody's feedback and responses. But the team has really been
That
working on the
guy's
full
head
game,
is
separately, making a
weird,
lot of improvements and
weirdly
adjustments.
pixelated.
Um,
Is that what a
again,
green
we just wanna
screen
share
does to
thanks
ball
everybody
people?
for sharing your feedback either through social media, our official survey, or through different places online. And while a lot of that feedback covered some known issues and things that we originally already planned to address in the final version of the game, a lot of the feedback actually covered some bugs and things that the team was not aware of or didn't intend to fix. So it was extremely helpful. And some of those fixes and adjustments are now prioritized for the final game thanks to your feedback. And we're going to talk about a lot of that today.
Yay.
Jonah, we actually had a round of previews go live recently, right? And that actually had some details that we're going to discuss today.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And the community response to that was fantastic. So if you have seen the previews, you will recognize some of the content in today's broadcast, but there is so much more. And on top of that as well, this stream is an opportunity for the development team to speak directly to you, to introduce even more and clarify what you may have seen in the previews as well. But please do keep in mind that this isn't fully comprehensive. There's even more adjustments to the final game beyond what you will see here today. And what is shown may not necessarily
That's a good
be
confirmation.
final and is, of
Honestly, there were
course,
people in the
always
community who were
subject
saying shit
to
like,
change. Now, obviously,
oh, they
now we've
never
covered
change
that,
things right
let's
before
talk about
release,
our
or
guests,
they
obviously.
don't tweak the game.
Obviously, I've been
I don't know who these
director
people
Yuya
were,
Tokuda
but
here.
honestly,
It's so much fun.
it's a
And Patrick
sentiment
will
that
be
is
doing
really
the Japanese
dumb.
to English, so you'll be hearing a lot of them both. So, Tokuda-san, what would you like to say to everyone before we get stuck in?
はい、最初に徳田さんから自己紹介やコメントをお願いします。
はい、モンスターハンターワイルズディレクターの徳田優です、今日はこのような場を設けていただきありがとうございます。僕はモンスターハンター G から20年間、モンスターハンターを作り続けております。今日はよろしくお願いします。
Hello everyone, I'm Yuya Tokuda, the director of Monster Hunter Wilds. It's really nice to be here with you guys today. It's a good opportunity to speak to you directly. I've been working on the Monster Hunter series for 20 years now, ever since Monster Hunter G times. So yeah, good.
That's a long
good
ass
chance to talk to
time.
you, and let's have fun.
Amazing, yeah. But the open beta test was, honestly, it was the response was overwhelming. We saw just a huge variety of responses and feedback and just people enjoying it, and also
We
sharing,
did play a
what they
lot of
thought
the
it
open
in a
beta
constructive
on
way.
the stream.
Tokuda-san, could you talk a little bit about
If you
what
want,
your
you can
initial
find the
impressions were,
playlist.
seeing all the different reactions to the beta?
オープンベータテストの、ユーザーの反応への徳田さんの反応について教えてもらえますでしょうか。
はい、まず本当にたくさんの方にご参加いただき、ありがとうございました。クロスプレイ、のマッチングサーバーにもし問題があった場合に、修正期間を取るために、モンスターハンターワールドのオープンベータテストよりも1ヶ月早く、開催したんですけれども、おかげさまで大きなサーバートラブルもなくテストを終えることができました。
Yeah, thank you very much, first of all, to all the many players around the world who took part in the beta. It was a very useful experience for us. You may have realized that the timeline was even earlier on this beta than the one we had from Monster Hunter World back in the day. It was about a month earlier before launch. The reason we had this one earlier was because of the addition of crossplay to Monster Hunter Wilds. That new
That's
system
interesting,
meant
yeah.
that we really wanted to make sure we had enough time to fix any issues that might have arisen with crossplay and matchmaking on the servers. But fortunately, we were able to get through the.
That
open beta
honestly
test
tells
without
me
any
there's not going to be a
significant
second
hitches in that
beta
area.
or a
また皆さんの
デモ
楽しかっただったりだとか、もっとこうだったらよかったなみたいな、声を勝手にしてですね、チーム全体が
Hi,
モチベー
Sephiroth.
ションを上げて、制作や改善に取り組むことができました。
Of course, it wasn't just about technical confirmation. It was also great to just see everyone's feedback, hearing all the players say how fun it was to play the game. And of course, your wishes and requests for things that you weren't enjoying quite as much about it. It was all such valuable feedback, and it's been great motivation for us to just finish the full game and make it even better.
I think we
So
did
thank you
give
again
a
for that.
lot of feedback. I also
It really was
filled
a
out the
fantastic
questionnaire
opportunity for
after we
everyone
played the game.
and for us to get some great learnings and observations too. And obviously, we've mentioned the open beta and what you thought about that. What were your thoughts, Takuda-san,
Thanks
on
for joining.
the published previews and interviews we've seen from press from around the globe?
You can always watch the VOD if you want.
はい、先日、
I always
メディアの
appreciate
プレビュー
also my-
も公開されていると思うんですけど、
my
徳田さんは
VOD watches.
確認
You
され
know,
てますか？
I always
いかがでしょ
appreciate
うか？
my VOD watches.
はい、まず世界中からですね、初心者からベテランさんまで、すごく幅広い層の、ライターさんが、大阪に来てくださって、OBT からの改善点はもちろんですけど、
Definitely think they
そもそも
won't
どう
have
なの
another
か
demo.
とか部分についてですね、とても
I
楽しん
think
で、
it's going to be
ポジティ
only
ブな
one,
レビュ
even
ーを
though the
たくさん
Monster
くださったの
community
で
may want it.
まずとても嬉しかったです。
But we only have 2 months left.
Yeah, that
And
was a really great experience. We had journalists from all over the world come and join us in Osaka, and it was a real range of people in terms of Monster Hunter play experience. Some of them were veteran hunters like yourselves, some of them were more on the beginner side, and getting to see their positive preview impressions was really exciting for me, because not just in terms of getting the news out there about improvements that have been made since the open beta test in the version they played, but their take on the game. on the
honestly,
whole
I should be a
was something that was
Capcom
really
content
fun for me
creator.
to see, especially because it was very
Hire
positive.
me, Capcom.
もうこれだけできてるんだったらもう大阪から帰りたくないみたいなことを言うメディアの方もいらっしゃいました。興味ある方はぜひ記事とか動画とかもチェックしてみてください。
With my
Some of
5
them were having
views.
so much fun, and they said the game felt so finished already. They just didn't want to leave Osaka. They wanted to stay there and keep playing it for a long time. But unfortunately, we had to release them from the office. But yeah, if anyone hasn't checked out those preview impressions already, I'd encourage you to take a look. Because
Honestly, I'm not
they were
too
really
much of
great
a
to
fan
see.
of the preview impressions
はい
because
では
they,
それではここからは
I don't know, they muddy the
ジョー
water
ジョン
a
から
bit
説
in
明があ
terms
った
of
通り
what is actually in
製
the
品版で
thing.
調整される内容と、OBT から
Especially from
変更
people
される内容に
who
ついて、ユーザー
Are
の皆
not
様にお
Monster
知らせ
Hunter
したい
fans.
と
Like,
思いま
there's
す
a lot of people who
So yeah, as you guys, Joe and Jono both mentioned earlier, today is a chance for me to talk directly to the community about some.
Yeah, there's a
adjustments
lot of
that,
people
me and the team are
who
making to the
regularly
game
don't play
based on
Monster
all
Hunter
the
and they are
feedback
not
we got
looking
from,
for
you players about the open beta test.
the things that I want them to look for, you know?
All right, well, let's go
Like,
ahead and get into
in-
it. I
in
think we
terms
have
of a
lot
Monster
to
Hunter
cover
game.
today. So let's start with our first topic. Our first topic is performance. So during the open beta test,
That's a good
which was
one.
actually running on
Performance
an earlier
was
version of
definitely
the
an issue.
game. That's different from the internal version that the team is working on. We actually mentioned that the final release will have improved performance over the open beta test. So Takuda-san, could you walk us through how the team is improving performance with the full version?
はい、最初に製
I'll
品版
definitely-
で目標にしているパフォーマンスについて
I'll definitely
教えてもらえる
play-
と思いますのでお願いします。
I'll definitely
はい
play in
まず実物を見ていただ
graphics
くの
mode
が一番
on
わ
the
かりやすいと思います
PS5
ので
because
まだ
that's
最終
what
バ
I've
ージョンで
been
はないん
playing
です
on
け
the
れども
demo
プ
and
レイステー
it
ション
ran
5で
30
フレームレート
FPS
デモードでのプ
consistently.
レイ映像をお持ちしたので
No
ご覧
problem,
く
you
ださい
know.
Yeah, we've got some slides with some details coming up, but I think first of all, I really want you guys to just get your eyes on a gameplay video to understand where the performance is at. So I've prepared a video that's running on PlayStation 5 in prioritized performance mode. It's not the final version of the game, but it's a more up-to-date version than the one you would have played in the OBT. So let's take a look at that now.
Oh. Pre-launch community update. That... It looks okay. Is this supposed to be a comparison? Because this doesn't look that much better in performance mode, honestly, on PS5. It looks still really crap.
はい、このように、OBT の時よりも、綺麗なグラフィックで、60フレーム近くでプレイできる状態になっています。
Yeah, hopefully that gave you an impression of how much better the game is looking already since the OBT. It's running at almost the target of 60 frames per second, so it's looking great, I think.
改めまして
Honestly, it
目標
still
としてい
kinda
るスペックで
looks
すけれ
like
ども
crap.
PS5 の解像度優
Sorry,
先モード
but
では
performance mode.
4K30fps で安定してプレイ
The
でき
the
ることを
target
ターゲットにしています
60 FPS is okay. The
So
60
as per
FPS is
the
good.
slide we have here, just to talk you through the target numbers that we have. On the PlayStation 5 in the prioritized graphics mode, we're running a rendered output of 4K with a targeted frame rate of 30 frames a second.
フレームレート優先モードではレータリング解像度は異な
But
り
yeah,
ますが
graphics mode, the game looks
遊べるようにターゲットしてい
incredible.
ます
And once I
And
switched to
for
performance
prioritized
mode,
frame rate,
I
that brings
just
the
saw
rendering
the
resolution down as
the
you can see,
resolution
but
was
then
just
the target frame
way
rate
down.
gets to 60 frames a second.
But 1080p, it doesn't. It looks a little bit more washed out. I don't know. I'll have to check it out once the game releases, obviously. But honestly, it looks. The video didn't convince me really. I don't know if it was YouTube processing it or anything, because that's always an issue. I noticed that through my streams as well. It's always an issue with YouTube processing and all of that. But it didn't seem like that much better,
Not being
honestly.
achieved in the OBT build. To be honest, it was an earlier version that wasn't quite as optimized. And there were also some rendering issues with the graphics when using frame priority mode, the prioritized frame rate. A lot of players reported seeing jagged edges on elements such as hair and feathers, the more fine details.
Huh.
As you will have hopefully gotten an impression
Yeah, we'll
of in
see.
the video we
I'll
just showed,
see
this has been
once
greatly
we have the
improved
game in our
version, and
hands
the frame rate is
what
also
the
hitting
frame
close
rate
to that target of
is.
60 frames a second.
60 frames a second is
はい、
good
あと
in
PlayStation
performance
5
mode.
Pro エンハンスド対応については
That should be
セ
enough.
ーフティーパーパス外時の
I'll probably be
Day 1 パッ
playing
チで
graphics mode
対
because
応
the
を予定
game
してい
is
ます
super beautiful. And the
PlayStation
30
5 Pro で
FPS
の
don't
ゲーム
actually
プレイは
bother me.
グラフィック
They
上
didn't
が
bother me in the
評価
demo
を
that
予定
much.
しておりまして詳細については
I'm
今後の
hoping
情報をお
that
待ちく
they
だ
will
さい
continue to improve performance, but
Also, just one thing to confirm is that PlayStation 5 Pro enhanced support is incoming, and it'll be ready with the day one patch on release day of the title next year.
okay.
It's going to enhance the graphics for PlayStation 5 Pro users.
For all
please
5
stay
PlayStation
tuned
5 Pro
for more
users.
details on that as we get closer to launch.
はい、Xbox シリーズ X と、
Huh.
シリーズ S に
Xbox
つきましても
Series S seems to be
PlayStation 5
performance
同様
mode
な、パフォ
with
ーマンス向上に取り組んでいます。
Moving on then to Xbox, you can see here that on the Xbox Series X and Series S, we're aiming at similar improvements over the OBT compared to what I just described for the PlayStation
It makes
5
sense,
as per the
honestly.
slide.
It makes sense that obviously on Steam release you don't know
パフォーマンスの向上について、同様に取り組んでおりま
what
し
you're
て、
going to get.
OBT
If
と
they
同
improve
じスペックの
performance
機材であって
still,
も
I might
着実
even
に
be able to
プレイ
run
で
this game on my
向上
laptop.
してい
Not
ます
gonna lie, I
Steam is, of course, a bit
put it
more
on low
complicated.
settings
It,
on my laptop
varies
and it
greatly depending
ran
on your own personal
30
rig, your
FPS.
hardware and the settings you have set up, but,
30
we
FPS,
are
but
working on
horrible
improving the performance
graphics,
of that
and it
too,
ran
and
okay.
the
You know, if they
frame
improve
rate
performance,
and
that
other
is
performance you can
definitely
expect from the
up.
same equipment you might have used in the
It's
OBT
definitely up there.
will be improved for the full
For a
version of the
portable
game, so,
system like my
please wait a little
laptop,
longer to get your-
it's actually
get a
really
chance to
good.
experience that.
あとこれは本当におとつい聞いた最新の情報なんですけれども、推奨スペックとしてご案内しているグラフィックボードについてももう少し下げられる、可能性が、出てきております。せっかくな情報が、固まり次第公式サイトなどで、アナウンスさせていただきます。
This is actually something that I've literally just confirmed with the team yesterday or the day before, so it's very hot off the press news, but we're looking at hopefully lowering the level of the minimum recommended graphics board specs to allow more players with that level of hardware to play the game. The final details are still being worked on, so I can't share more today, but again,
That's
stay
good,
tuned
that's good.
to official channels on our website.
Also,
and we'll
please
hopefully get
allow
more
mod
details
support.
about that out soon.
They're probably
That
going
is
to
really,
have
really cool.
something
You know,
stupid
I mean,
like
Joe and I
Denuvo
can
strapped
both
in.
attest that following the OBT, performance was an important topic for the community across all platforms. So it's really, really cool to be able to share the performance and visual improvements for all versions and platforms of the game across the board. So thank you for that, Guda-san. One little question though, because we did see some members of the community, particularly on PC, concerned whether or not they had a powerful enough hardware or rig to run the game on PC. Especially seeing, out there's such a wide range of hardware amongst the gaming community. So is there anything the team are thinking of or looking at doing to help players on PC determine if their rig will run on Sunto WoW?
Steam ユーザーはそれぞれのプレイヤーが様々な環境
Honestly,
で
a
遊んでいると
short
思い
demo
ますけれど
version,
も、発売前に
demo
自
build,
分
or
の
a
環境
benchmark
で
would be okay, you know?
期待できるパフォーマンスを確認したいユーザーがたくさんいると思うんですけど、何かしら対策を考えたりしますでしょうか？
はい、さまざまな改善とか最適化が進んでいる中でですね、その製品版の環境でご自身の機材
This
が
has
ど
to
のよう
be
に機能する
really
か
hard
と
to
いうのは、
translate into
発売前に
Japanese,
知りたいとい
honestly,
うのは非
because
常によく
those
分
are
か
quite
っ
a
てお
few
ります。
technical terms.
現在そうした方に向けてベンチマークソフトをご用意できないか、検討しています。
did
でき
say
るできないや
benchmarks,
時期な
so-
ど決定しましたらまたお知らせいたします。
Yeah, I totally understand the PC players on Steam really want to know before launch if their rig is going to be giving them the performance that they want.
Hey, Kiza.
While we are, as I said, working to improve the performance greatly before launch, we're considering as well releasing a benchmark tool for Steam players, and that'll let you
Yeah,
more
this
directly
this
check
one came
how
out
your
of
PC
nowhere
hardware is
today.
going to run the game. So that's something that's still in the works at the minute, and if that becomes finalized, again, we'll release further details on that in due course.
You haven't
So-
missed much. They were just
change.
talking about the performance
Alright,
updates.
Yeah. So we'll await
So they
any
just
further
confirmed-
details on a potential benchmark tool, and overall, those were
There
some
will be
really great
performance
updates on
updates,
performance,
and
but
they're
let's go
trying
ahead
to get a
and transition to
benchmark
some of the
tool for all the PC
gameplay-specific
players out there.
adjustments to either weapon actions
That's
and
what
the
they
overall
confirmed.
hunting
And
experience. And
apparently,
I
it
think
runs
most gentlemen
better,
know that one of
and they
the
have
biggest
improved
topics,
performance. So
and concerns from the community were
Let's take them up on that, huh?
The overall impact of weapons, and this was really something that we saw quite a bit of feedback on.
But yeah, this is a
Looking for
very
little bit more
impromptu
punch to
stream,
different
by the
weapons.
way.
In our recent round of previews, we actually did confirm that there were some improvements made to this area. So, Takuda-san, can you detail what these tweaks are?
はい、パフォーマンスに続けて武器の調整についてですけれども、多くのユーザーから、もう少しパンチが欲しい、手応えを感じたいっていうフィードバックが寄せられていると思うんですけど、これに対してチームの方で
Honestly, I might run the benchmark tool if I can on my laptop and see if it can run.
はい、オープンベータテストでは、いわゆるヒットストップや、サウンドエフェクトが過去作に比べて弱いというご意見いただいております。これらについて OBT では一部対応が漏れていたものもあったんですけど、製品版では、多くの武器種類、特に大技とか決め技を中心に、攻撃の手応えをより感じていただけるような調整をしております。
Yeah, this is, what people refer to as
That's
hit
okay.
stop. It's something that we were aware of with the OBT build. There were certain things we'd already taken care of, actually, and certain things that hadn't yet been done. So when it comes to making
But yeah,
these
the good
weapons feel
the good
more
news is the
weighty
hit
and
stop is
impactful
back,
in terms of hit
and
stop and sound
I think
effects,
that's what a lot of
we
people
are planning to
were
make further
scared
adjustments
about.
in the full version of the game in that area.
Honestly, I think it's a good change,
一つ
you
の例
know?
として、調整後の体験の新ため切りの動画をお持ちしましたのでご覧ください。
I've got a video here that we can show in a second, which shows you the true charged slash of the greatsword, and that's how it looks
Please
after
show
these
other
weapons
weapons
have been made to
too.
make
Honestly,
these big
don't
moves
just
and
show
finishers feel
Greatsword, because we've
more
already
meaty.
seen
So,
like a preview of
let's show the video,
Greatsword
please, and see how that looks.
with the new hit stop. Honestly, I would like to see Switch Axe with the new hit stop, you know? Yeah, that's a good amount. Let's see it on true charged. That does seem pretty good in terms of feel, honestly.
はい、体験、実は新ため切り、ダメージ量の方も。
That does seem like a good amount.
ダメージ量限らずですけど、
I think they even reduced it a bit from the preview we've seen,
調整を行っていますし、サウンドですね、音につい
where
て
it
も
was
調整
like
してますので、
obscenely
トー
long
タルヒット感は、向上
on
しています。
Greatsword.
So that move that we just saw, the true charge slash, has also actually had its damage output increased. But even for moves where I haven't changed the damage output, I've heard you guys on things like hit stop, on sound effects, how the moves feel to actually use. So those kind of adjustments are being made, not just on the greatsword. I use
The
it
one
as
thing
an
that's
example,
very
it's easy to
controversial is
understand,
the mitigation
but
of
across
friendly
the board on
fire
all weapon types.
on it.
はい、ヒットストップに関してはですね、モンスターハンターワールドをリリースした当初には、海外のユーザーを中心に、強すヒットストップが強すぎる
Full version will further
重す
friendly
ぎる
fire
みた
for
いなご意見をす
upswinging
ごくいただ
hammer
いたんですけれど
attacks.
も、今回、 モンスターハンターワイルズのオープンベータテストでは逆に弱いというご意見もたくさんいただきまして、モンスターハンターの持ち味であるこの、
Honestly, the friendly fire thing is whatever for me. I don't know.
始めているんだなということ
I've
も
never
感じま
noticed
して
it, honestly,
考えることがありました
in Rise and World.
It was really interesting, actually.
The only
for me to
times I
see
ever
this feedback
noticed-
on the beta, I'm thinking back to Monster Hunter World, which I also worked on, and back then there was a lot of player feedback, especially outside Japan, where players felt that the game was actually too weighty, that the animations were too slow, and that's completely opposite
Really?
of what we heard this time, where people were saying the Wilds OPT, everything felt a bit too light and floaty and weaker. So
The game was too weighty with World,
in the
huh?
years between Monster Hunter World coming
That's
out and
that's not
Monster
a
Hunter Wild
criticism
OPT,
I hear a lot
players
in
around
the
world
in the
have
Monster
gotten
Hunter
used to that,
community.
meaty, weighty hit stop action
Honestly.
is kind of one of the hallmarks of Monster Hunter. So knowing that they've accepted that and they wanted it back.
But
based
yeah,
on
the friendly
OPT
fire
actually
thing is
something
whatever
that
to me.
I think
I
is
have
really
never
interesting and
really
also just
struggled
really
with friendly
nice for me to hear.
fire in Monster Hunter
Yeah,
Rise
that's
or
really,
Monster
really
Hunter
cool.
World.
You know, I'm looking forward to seeing those meaty chops and big bonks
You know?
come February. And
The
obviously
only times I
we spoke
struggle
about
is when
how,
there's a
weapon
light poke on
interaction
user that
monsters
just
have been
fires
adjusted, but we're also
into every
looking at
direction and
friendly
hits me
fire and
instead.
how that works, right? I understand that this was actually something as well that the team were looking into and considering before the open beta test went live.
はい、フレンドリーファイアの機能について確かにオープン
I
ベータ
definitely
テスト
think
配
that's
信前からも
maybe
検討されていた
what
と
we
聞い
see
てるん
on
ですけど
basically
こち
Twitter
らは
and
OPT
everywhere in the
を
Monster
受
Hunter
けてどのよう
community
な調整を予定しているので
is
しょうか
not what the community really
はい
thinks about these
ゲーム
things,
コン
you
や
know?
TGS の、私有ロムでは、ガ
Like-
ランスの流撃法などによって、
That's something we need to
仲
consider,
間が飛ばされる
honestly.
いわゆるこうフレンドリーファイヤーがありましたけれど
Because
も、
if that was a
同時のタイ
criticism
ミング
of
では多
Worlds
くの武器でそれ
when
ら
it
を
came out,
緩和しました。
Yeah, this is something that, as you said, before even the OBT came out, we had our first playable globally at Gamescom earlier in the year. Then we had Tokyo Game Show. And the adjustments that we started to make for friendly fire were already present in those builds. So, for example, the Wyvern fire of the gun lance is something that we'd already toned down the effect even before the OBT started.
OBT の時点でも
I'm still okay with
ハン
them
マーの勝ち上
existing,
げな
like
ど
friendly
一部
fire.
フレンドリー
I
ファイ
don't
アが
know
残
why
って
they
しまっ
would
た
take
も
it
のがあっ
out.
たんですけど、それらの
But
製品版の方では、修正予定と
If
なります
honestly, if there's a problem
That
with
said, as
with
a
the
lot of players will
community
have noticed in
and
the OBT,
a lot
there
of
were
people have been
some
telling them to do
friendly
it,
fire things that we hadn't handled yet. So upswing attacks on the hammer in particular, I think were causing a lot of people to be thrown around the place, and that's something that we're looking to get into a better place and fix it up for the final game.
Well, they're also not saying they're removing it, by the way. That's something that I want to stress here. They're not saying they're removing it, they're trying to mitigate it a bit, you know?
And just to
So
mention
tone
as
it
well,
down.
something that wouldn't have applied during the OBT, but the shockproof jewel, which you might remember from recently Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, is going to be in the full game, and that will further help you nullify those damage reactions.
の調整後のハンマーの勝ち上げの動画も持ってきましたので、ご覧ください。
I've got another video with me today, so if we can please show that, then you should get an idea of how the hammer upswing looks after these adjustments have been made. So let's take a look.
Now let's see. Oh. Just knocks you over. They might have removed it from some attacks.
Yeah, the example is really great at kind of showing side by side just the changes that have been made there. So, I think with friendly fire, this is one of those changes where there's a lot of different players that a lot of different types of players that it may impact. So, Takuda-san, can you talk a little bit more about the intention behind making this change?
フレンドリーファイアですとプレイヤーの意見も分かれる仕様だと思うんですけど
I don't know,
今
I
回
just
変更
honestly
に入れた意図について
I
もう
would
少し
kind of miss on the
詳しく教えてもらえ
upswing
ますでしょう
that you
か
can
はい、
throw around other people.
残念なに思ってい
If
る
they
方も
if they are
いる
going
という
to
ことこちらも
to
認識してい
do
ます。
something about it, then
今回ですね、
it would be
ガ
better
ランス
just to
の流
remove
撃
it.
の範囲を結構思い切って
You know?
広げたんですけど、この範囲で
Instead of
飛
like
ばしを残してしま
now
う
it
と
knocks you down
マルチ
instead
プ
of
レイで
juggling
大きな
instead of
支障に
throwing
なっ
it
て
into
しま
the
いま
air.
す。
I don't know.
Yeah,
does seem a
I
bit
know what you
weird.
mean, because friendly fire is one of those features I think some players enjoy, the bit of the chaos, and they might find it disappointing to hear that it's being reduced, but it's all part of my overall balancing sort of approach. So to take the Gunlance Wyvern Fire as an example, the range of that attack has actually been greatly expanded with Monster Hunter Wilds, and that meant that just the sheer range at which friendly fire could occur was kind of becoming something of a hindrance to having an effective multiplayer
I mean,
hunt.
it's a great look on how development works, you know? Like if you look at Wyvern Fire and they expanded the range of the gunlands and everything, and then seeing like it has become a problem during development time, then I can see why they would tone it down, obviously.
初心者のユーザーの方がルールがわからないままぶっ飛ばしてしまったりだとか、特にそういう要素があることによってマルチプレイを避けてしまうようなことを避けたいと考えて、
But yeah, it's not going to change too much. The launch is gone.
I think that kind
And
of
it
scrappy
doesn't do anything
chaotic
anymore.
feel you get
Like,
from friendly
you couldn't
fire is
probably
something that
do
players who understand it and
the
they
thing
know how to
that you were
avoid it
doing in
or
4
when it's gonna
Ultimates.
happen.
You wouldn't probably
Those
be able
people
to
can
do
have
it
an understanding
anymore
with each other
anyway.
and enjoy that, but
You know?
we've now got crossplay and we've got a wider range than ever of experience levels of hunters joining the game. And I wanted to avoid a scenario where this level of, extra range attacks causing friendly fire would mean that maybe less experienced players would end up knocking everyone around beyond the point where it's
And
still
yeah, you
fun,
have to kind of
or
accommodate
they
for
might get
newbies
knocked
coming
around and
in.
not understand why
That's-
it's happening and
I
not
mean,
find that
that's
enjoyable, and
that's
then
getting
they end up
dismissed a
avoiding
lot
going
by
online and
the
playing multiplayer
general Monster
with
Hunter
other
Twitter
players, so
community.
It's really
but
part of my intention to make sure
You have
that,
to
everyone
make
can
adjustments for
enjoy
noobs coming
multiplayer together,
in
and that meant
sometimes.
making the decision on how to adjust.
They
friendly
really
fire.
want to sell
that
this
makes
game
sense.
to
I mean, it's
sell
making it
more than Monster Hunter
approachable
Worlds.
for new players and less frustrating for
It's going to be
experienced
tough,
players
but they
who
really
are
want to
playing
do
alongside
it.
These new players joining the community. And kind of moving on from that as well, something that actually Joe and I encountered ourselves and what we saw within the community and content creators was that during the open beta test,
Like obviously
they
the
found
target is going
monsters
to be
move
some numbers
locations
around Monster
way
Hunter
more often than
World,
they expected.
and
was this intentional?
new people coming in is like a core thing that they need to worry
僕
about,
自
you
身が
know?
その時に気づいた仕様なんですけれども、モンスターが割と頻繁にエリア移動する仕様になってたと思うんですけど、コミュニティのフィードバックもたくさんある仕様だったと思いますので、こちらについてはどれだけ
I don't know, I didn't really have a
良かったでしょうか
problem. I didn't really have a problem with
ウィキペディアですね、その
the
プログラム的な
amount of
不具合と
times
ですね
monsters
調
moved
整不足の両方が重
in
なりま
areas,
して
but maybe that
モン
was
ス
a
ターの
problem for
エリア
other
移動
people.
が頻繁
I
に
thought it was
発生して
cool
いま
that they
した
moved relatively quickly.
Yeah, the actual truth is that there was a bit of a bug or glitch in the open beta test build, which meant that monsters were moving between areas more frequently than we intended. So the behavior you guys noticed in the open beta test build isn't something that was finally fully adjusted to where
I
we
don't know,
wanted it to
I
be.
kind of liked it, honestly.
そう製品版では、モンスターハンターワールドに近いような移動頻度になるように調整を
Makes
してい
more
ます
sense when a monster feels like it's
So yeah,
not
I've-
going
we've
to.
worked on that since the open beta
going
test
to-
build
it's
was
not going
created,
to,
and the
win
final
this
version
fight, it
should
just
be more
moves,
close
you
in
know?
feeling to Monster Hunter World in
More
terms
quickly.
of how often you feel
I
that
don't know.
monsters are moving around.
Maybe I'm
Got
spitballing
it.
here a
Yeah.
bit.
So even though that the amount of frequency that a monster might move locations has been toned down a little bit, sometimes a monster moving locations significantly is kind of like a way of expressing its personality. So are there still some situations where a monster might move significantly?
それでも製品版ではエリア間の移動をする場合がある
Is
と
there?
理解していいんですね。
もちろんモンスターがフィールドの中でどんどんこう移動していって、それを追い詰めていってハンティングする
That's a
というのは
question I
モンスター
actually
ハン
wanna
ターの
wanna
醍醐味の
answer.
一つでもありますので、モンスターは移動していきます。
Yeah, that's right. It's one of the sort of key features of Monster Hunter is that you're chasing these monsters around these vast environments. So it's not like they're never going to move anywhere, and you're just going to be stuck in one place to hunt them. You're
I mean,
still gonna have
definitely.
that feeling of the chase.
The
where
thing that I
they move
already
between
got,
different parts of the field as the hunt progresses.
honestly, I would love the monsters to move around less
特に
distance.
生態系の上位に属するようなモンス
Like
ター
the whole
強いモンスターはですね
radar
ベースキャンプから
moving
離れた場所
towards the
フィールドの
top of the
近くに
mountain
巣を構え
got
ていること
old
が
pretty
多くあります
fast, honestly.
今回はこう
It's the same problem that World
フィ
has
ールドが
with
広大になっているっていうこと
Rathalos
もありまして
moving
いろ
on
んな
top of the
緩和
nest,
種類は入れ
right?
てるんですけれども、それでもこう品種移動な
It
どの
gets
際
old
に
pretty fast.
大きく移動するということがあります。
Still,
Also, the maps are much bigger in this game than any previous Monster Hunter, and that means there's more turf to cover. And when it comes to things like the monsters who are at the top of the food chain in a particular map, their nests or their home turf within the map can be pretty deep into the area, and it can be some distance to cover. So if you get them to a weakened state and they're doing the thing where they limp back to their nest to try and recover, that's still going to be an occasion where you're going to have some ground to cover in order to chase them and find them again.
でそうした場合はですね、その狩りたいモンスターの生息域だったり移動ルートに合わせた場所に簡易キャンプを立てて、ファストトラベルなどを使って先回りする
Also,
よう
I'm
な
pretty
使い
sure
方
there's
と
not
いう
going
の
to
も
be a
すごく
second
有効に
demo,
な
by
りま
the
す。
way.
I would recommend when that happens in the full game that you can actually use the pop-up camp feature to its fullest. So if you're aware of where a particular monster's nest is going to be in the map, and if it's quite a distance from other areas, you can go ahead and sort of do a recce and scout it out and put a pop-up camp there in advance, so that when that monster starts to get weakened and try to return to its nest,
Like, I'm
you can
pretty
fast
sure
travel to the
they said
pop-up
in the
camp and
beginning
get there
that
quickly.
they
It's a
put
little bit of planning, a little bit of
they
prep,
put
and it
the
will pay off
demo
in the hunt, which is
like
always
1 month
handy.
earlier
And, you
this
know,
time
moving
because
on,
they
we've
had
already
issues
covered
with
a lot of
crossplay
juicy
they
changes.
wanted to
We've been
test
getting
out.
stuck straight in. So let's kind of move over to adjustments to something that's really important and helps really define a hunter's identity in game, and
Let's
that we're all
see.
very passionate
But they wanted
about
to really move it
our weapons.
1 month
So
before
we know
Worlds to
many
test out
people are really interested
problems
in
with
this.
crossplay
To
more.
understand,
So
in
I'm
our recent
definitely thinking
previews,
there's not going to
the
be
team
another
showed
one.
off some changes to
Like,
the insect
it
blade.
wasn't a move 1
but
month
that's
before
not the
so
only
that we
weapon.
can get a
Multiple
second
weapons
one.
have received adjustments, but a few in particular, like the aforementioned insect glaive, have received the most attention, right?
武器の調整についてですけれども、プレビューのインタビューなどで徳田さんは特
Oh
に
yeah, the
小
weapon
中高な
changes.
どの武器が
I
かなり
really
OBT
want to
に比べ
see
て
what they
多く
did
調整
to
が入ってる
Switch
という
Axe.
ふうにコメントをい
honestly.
ただいていると思うんですけど、
That is the
これ
one
につい
change
て
that I really
もう
want to
少
see.
し詳細に教えてもらえますでしょうか。
Please show
は
me
い
my
特に
favorite
小
weapon.
中高ランス、スラッシュアックス、片手剣については製品版とかなり違いを感じられるような、武器種になっています。それらを中心に調整内容をご紹介できればと思います。
Yeah, the insect glaive is one of several weapons, such as the lance, the switch axe, and the sword and shield, which I think players will, if you've played the OBT version and then you play the full game, you're going to notice maybe the biggest differences and feel like we've made the most adjustments.
That's
to
good.
those weapons,
2 of
which is
them
good,
are going
although
to
we
be my
have
main
made
weapons
adjustments for all
throughout the
the
game,
weapons.
so
So I'd like to take the chance to go through a few of those details with you.
はい、小中高については、
But yeah,
まずは
the
動画を
way
見
it
ていただ
stands
け
now
ればと思います。
is
So if we can run the video we've prepared of the insect glaive.
let's
take a look at
first
that
watch
first.
the video. I'm going to talk later. I'm so glad it's back, honestly. It still feels a little bit too weighty, but
「はい、このようにまず
That's a good
同
one.
跳躍が、追加されております。
That's right. Vaulting dance is back.
総中高についてはゲームズコンや TGS の私有の段階で、
No,
特にこの
the second
総中高
problem I had
使い
with
の方
vaulting
々
dance
から
in the
まあ
demo
アイデンティ
was
ティ
how
とも言えるよう
little
な
distance it
総
actually
跳躍の
covers, and that
ない部分
hasn't
についてです
changed
ね
at all.
非常に残念がある声というのをたくさんいただいてましたので、
Like, it
OBT
feels like the
では
half
な
the
かったんです
distance
けど
that
も
the
製品
vaulting
版の
dance
方では
covered, but
武闘跳躍追加しております。
it doesn't
So
seem
this
like
is
that has
something I was
changed.
actually aware of even before the feedback from the open beta test back at our Gamescom and Tokyo Game Show exhibitions of gameplay. We had our, insect glaive users, our bug rod mains, complaining that the vaulting dance was
Aerial
missing, and
attack
it's
power
one of the
increases
iconic
by
moves
2
of
levels each
that
time you
particular weapon.
vault.
So yeah, I'm happy to confirm that vaulting dance makes its return in the full version.
That
of Monster Hunter
is
Wilds.
fucking
そう
dope.
ですね、
That is a
吸収
dope
フィールド
addition
で
to the
初めの
insect
ところ
glaive.
に
I actually
相
wanna
殺
try
効果がつい
this.
ていたりだとか、エキスを取った時の、効果などが OBT から、追加で対応を行っていまして、これらによって、立ち回りの幅がすごく広がっています。
I actually want to try this now.
As you can see on the slide, we've got a few other adjustments being made. One of them is that the descending slash now has an offset effect added at the beginning of that move. And we also have additional effects happening with the different extracts that you have during the
Wait, orange
course of the action.
extract
So
also
those are
negates
gonna
knockback?
improve the feel of the insect glaive too.
はい、です
Wait, red, white, and orange mitigates wind pressure, tremors, and
押
roars.
しづらいというご意見も、すごく多くいただいてお
Whoa,
りました
that's a big one.
One thing
That's
I
a
wanted to cover
really big
additionally was
one.
that some players said that the controls for charging up the descending thrust were a little bit too difficult, or they felt tricky to operate in the heat of the hunt.
The bottom one is a
僕
huge
自身
one.
も押しづらいなと感じる部分もありました
Honestly, I
の
like
で、まあ何かできないか検討
It
や相
gives
談と
it
進
gives
めてい
the
たんですけれ
extract
ども
gathering something
慣れてく
unique,
ると
you
です
know?
ね、この貯めることによる遊びの広がりっていうのも確かにあるなというふうにも感じていることから、あとまあそれを回収するコストとも
When they say it negates knockback, does it mean it kind of gives you a hyper
こ
armor?
とに、しました。
I took that feedback on board, and I tried it out in the game myself, and I did somewhat agree that it could be tricky to pull that off right in the middle of things. But,
That seems like a
we
huge,
always have to
huge
weigh up when
change
we're
to
gonna make these kind of
Encyclave.
modifications to a
I
weapon, what
really,
the
really like
implications
that.
are for its playstyle as
Might
a
be
whole.
time to
We have to
reconsider.
balance the idea of changing that with
The problem is
how
I'm
it might play the way it is.
already
So after many discussions with the team, I actually decided to keep this one the way it is. I think that it is one of the trickier things to pull off, but it's sort of a bit of a rewarding bit of depth to the gameplay of the Encyclave. If you can get used to that and learn when to use the charge, you can really deepen your play style. So that's something that we're not adjusting this time, although we did hear your voices on that.
ですね
Yeah, yeah.
メディアプレビューツアー
But
に
that makes
撮られ
Encyclave
た
interesting. The
操
problem
縦
is
痕
I'm
使いの
already
方
set on
を
my
ですね
two main weapons.
触っていただいて、最高の操縦痕になってるじゃないか
So,
すごく喜んで、
Encyclave
くれ
would
ましたので、
become
ぜひ
maybe
製
the
品版
third,
の方、
but I don't
お
know.
待ちいただければと思います。
Yeah, there was actually one journalist who was in Osaka for our preview last month, and they're an Encyclave main user, and they said that this is the best Encyclave ever in Monster Hunter history. So you can take that on board and look forward to the full version of the weapon in the final version of the game.
Honestly,
Yeah,
I don't know if
amazing. It's so
Encyclave
great seeing
mains
Vaulting
know what they
Dan's
want.
back. I know that has been very, very highly
But okay.
requested from the community. And I think there's a lot of people out there, including myself and members of the community, who doubted that it was something that could even be added back into the game. So it's so great to see
I could.
it back and to see it in
The thing
action.
is, it depends on how
So
much I'm
moving
going
on
to
from the Encyclave,
grind.
I know there's other weapons we want to touch on. We mentioned in the previews that
Once
the
we're
lance
through
would be
with, once
seeing
I'm
some
through with the
significant
game
changes. So can you
and I
take us through
finish
those?
all of the story and everything,
先に
and there's nothing else to do, like an end game grind or whatever, I'm definitely anyway going to try to make every weapon in the game, like I usually do. Like go over every weapon tree for every weapon and make that
ランス
weapon.
は多様なガードと、まあ、
But
細やか
those
な移動を
three are
駆
usually
使
the
してい
ones I want to
てシリーズよ
prioritize
りも
in
モン
my
スターに張り
first
付いていけ
playthrough.
る選択肢を増やしたかったんですけれども、逆にそのモンスターの
Because
行動を見て待つ選択肢っていうのがなくなって
If I
まあ
don't,
かえって行動の選択
it
肢が
might
狭まっ
just
て、まあ、同じ行動を
be too
繰り
much
返してし
grinding
ま
for
う
me,
ような、
you know?
まあ、ちょっと単調なプレイにつながってしまう部分っていうのがありました。
Charge counter allows guarding. Honestly, I don't know the
effects of
lance
the adjustments
things,
we made were somewhat on the
because I've not
unintentional
played
side,
Lance too
so
much.
I wanted to add a variety of different options for guarding and more fine footwork movement options. And
Yeah, they're
the idea
definitely
was to
not going
increase
to
the
be
tool set
as
of things that players
generous
had available when
in
using the lance. But I think that the unintentional
like
effect of that
the
was
material
that
drops are not going to be as
players weren't able
generous
to
as in the
do
beta.
The classic lance
100%.
move of being able to wait it out and see what the monster is going to do next and then respond to that in kind.
You have to watch, take the lance changes in. I have not played enough lance in the beta to actually judge it.
The lance action felt monotonous.
I have played it a
because
bit.
ultimately with
couldn't
the
really
tools
get
available,
into
they
it,
still ended up
and,
repeating the
you
same
know.
actions over and over again.
大きな変更点としましては、過去作のカウンター好きを、まあ、ガード中のためカウンターとして、復活させました。
Perfect guard and power guard
So,
can now be
in
changed
response to that,
chained into a new
One thing
move.
that I've done is take the counter thrust move, which was a move that was available in past games with the lance. I sort of resurrected that in a new form as what we're now calling the charge counter, and that's something that you can use while guarding as well.
これによってカウンターで待つ、選択肢を作りつつ、まあ、さらに大きなモンスターの攻撃に対しては、ガードからパワーガードの
Lance is something that's intriguing to me because I played Rise Lance and Rise Lance was actually pretty
していって
good.
ますので、そうしたものも含めた反撃の選択肢というのを取れるよ
I
う
don't
に
know
して
how
います。
much I'll get into
So
Lance
the addition of
in
this
this game.
move, as well as the other adjustments that we've made, some of which you can see here, which includes a new move that can be chained into from both Perfect Guard and Power Guard, means I think Lance players will appreciate the ability to read the monster's movements, and you can choose your counter-attack style, and you can even do a power guard that will now charge even more quickly or to higher levels if you successfully defend against more powerful monsters.
That seems like good additions to the
that
Lance.
sort of
From a Lance
way to be
layperson,
encounter
that seems
style of
like
the Lance,
pretty
I
good
think is
additions.
going to be getting much better than you might have experienced in the open beta.
その他混乱だったり暴発が起こりやすいような発生をなくしたりだとか、連携中に発生するガードダッシュのキャンセルのタイミングを早くするなど、過去作でできたことっていうのは、なるべくフォローしながらやれることの幅っていうのを広げる調整をしています。僕はもちろんランススカイの藤岡さんも、結構、じっくり触っていましてかなり感触良くなってきています。
There's also
Changes are going to be
variety of
crazy,
adjustments that
honestly.
we've made to the Lance in conjunction with Mr. Fujioka, the executive.
And we haven't
art
really
director,
seen
who, as
a
you
lot
guys
from
know,
the
is a
game
Lance
yet.
main, so he takes the Lance very seriously.
Like the game
And,
releases
I
in
worked
2
together with him
months.
on these, so I wanted to expand the range
2
of
months.
what you can do based on past titles.
We haven't even seen a lot of returning monsters. We haven't seen the last biome or whatever they're planning. We have not seen a hint of the final boss. We haven't even really seen the flagship monster. Like, we have seen nothing of the game.
Timing of guard dashes that are chained into during combos. So I think that these changes, if you trust me and Mr. Fujioka, are going to make the lads feel better than ever.
はい、
There's so much
動画の方も
info
お
we
持ちしたの
haven't
で
gotten
ご覧
really.
ください。
I've got a video for this too, so if we can run that, then you can see what I'm talking about.
Let's see it. Oh. Oh, that looks cool.
And there we have it. Lance getting straight to the point, as always. So hopefully our Lance mains out there
See what you
has
did
put a
there.
smile on your face. And for those of you that have never tried the weapon before, hopefully that's, sparked a bit of interest for you to go check it out come February. But now to move on from the Lance, let's talk about the Switch Axe, which apparently has been made much stronger than it was in the open beta test. Takura-san, can you tell us a bit more about
Yes,
that, please?
please power creep the Switch Axe. Please do. I
I
really want a powerful Switch Axe.
と聞いてるんですけど、詳細お願いします。
はい、スラッシュアックに関しては、そのオノモードでゲージを貯めて剣モードで放出していくような基本的なサイクル自体は
Knockback is
変えていませ
navigated
ん
in
が
full release slash.
オノモードでのちょっとためにくさみたいなものは
What is full
多少
release
変わり
slash
つつ
again?
剣モードでの
I honestly
攻撃を
need
現実装備
to
に見合ったような威力とか手応えに調
I
整
need
を
to
行ってい
train the
ま
Switch
す。
Axe. I would need access to the open beta again because I need to train the Switch
Of course,
Axe,
the
you
basic
know.
loop of charging up the axe mode and then releasing in the sword mode is the same. That's kind of what people expect from the weapon, but I understand from feedback that some players thought it was too difficult to get the axe mode charged up, and that was something that I wanted to alleviate, so that difficulty has been adjusted. At the same time, the sword mode has been adjusted
That
to
is
be
good.
this feeling more powerful and more responsive to match that gauge consumption.
特にフルリリーススラッシュは、手応えも威力も、最終派生型に見合った性能に、向上さ
What
せ
is
てい
full
ます。
release slash? I don't remember
And
what it
one
was,
move in
honestly.
particular that
The problem
should
is
be
I
feeling a lot
turned
better
off
now is the
these,
full release slash. It's been improved both in terms of its power output and its feeling, and it just feels like a much more appropriate finisher move in terms of.
Oh yeah, it
how
was
great
it
feels
was
to pull off.
the finisher that we got from Rise, right?
カウンター切り
That
の
they ported
使い
over
勝
from
手を
Rise.
上げたりだとか、集中弱点攻撃の後付けを短くするなど、使いづらかっ
That
た
is
コードを
cool
少しずつ
that they
調整
did
していって
that they did
全体的
incorporate
な
it
そう
into
いう
its
差というのを
moveset.
向上させています。
There were also some moves that the feedback from the player base was that they were a little bit too difficult to use. So, using the counter rising slash in sword mode is something that's been made more usable. And I've also looked to shorten the animation lock period after using a focus strike with this weapon. So, hopefully those things make it feel more usable.
That is good.
はい、こちらも動画をご覧ください。
Yeah, I
Got
think
any
that
of
is
those
the
ones? So
that
let's
is
take a
the
look.
slash after the explosion. That seems pretty good. Oh yeah, the full release. Oh my god, this looks sick. Did you see that hit stun on that? That looks
looking really
sick.
great. As somebody who really likes the new moveset in Monster Hunter Wilds, these tweaks just take it to the next level. So I'm really excited about that, and maybe I'll switch to the Switch Axe. Sorry. Well, next up we've got Sword and Shield. Jono, I know this is very near and dear to your heart. As your main, Tokuda-san,
Yeah.
can you take us through all of the tweaks?
Please show me Sword and
はい
Shield,
次
honestly.
にご存知のようにジョノがメインに使っている武器でもある片手剣ですけど
That felt super
こちらの調整
satisfying,
に
and
つい
the
て
hit
はいかが
stun
でしょ
was
うか
really good,
はい、
honestly.
まずですね、過去作とちょっとボタンは違うんですけれども、
Rising slash can
ガー
be
ド
used
中に
while
切り上げ
guarding.
ですね、のアクションを復活させました。
Improve the responsiveness of the
Yeah,
mobile
so
shop
for the
and
Sword
side slash
Shield,
combo.
One thing we heard your voice very clearly
well as
on was
guard
that
slash
the loss of
and
the ability to
perfect
use rising
rush.
slash while guarding was
So yeah,
being
Sword and
majorly
Shield is
felt,
definitely
so
going to
that's
be my
back, and
third
then you
one,
can now perform that move
if
while guarding again.
nothing else comes up.
また通常攻撃だった
Not-
り、
if not a weapon
ジャ
has
スト
more
ラッシュ
interested in
といった
me.
各種攻撃の威力を、
It's going to be
上げて
Switch
上げて
Axe,
いたりだとか、
Gun
各種攻撃のレスポン
Lance,
スの方も、
Sword and
向上させ
Shield.
て、
That's going to be
さらに
the
バ
three
ック
mains.
ステップと滑り込み切りの回避性能を強化するので、全体的なこの威力と、レスポンス手触りを向上を、させています。
And there's also various improvements.
The thing
as you
is,
can
a lot
see
of
on
these
the next
move
couple of
names
points here
don't
being
tell me
made to
anything
weapons,
because at one point I
sort
just
of
turned
feel
off
and also
the
attack output,
UI
so
element that
normal
showed you the
attacks and
moves
perfect
because it
rush
was a
have
little
had
bit
their parameters
invasive.
improved. The responsiveness of your sort of more bread and butter mobile combos like the chop and side slash combo have been improved, and same goes for guard slash and perfect rush. And then finally the backstep and the
Charge Blade is a
sliding slide have
good
had their
one. I don't know,
effectiveness when it
maybe
comes
it
to
needs to be a
evasion
little bit
improved as well.
adjusted in the
So lots
beta.
of changes all across the board for Sword and Shield.
こちらも
Maybe it was
動画を
also
ご覧
missing
く
the
だ
hit
さい。
stop because
Yep, you guessed it.
Honestly,
There's a video of this weapon,
doing
so
a
let's run it and see
full-
how it looks.
what is it called? That looks fucking dope that you can move while chopping. Yeah, this is the move that I want. They made perfect rush quicker. Yes, please.
Oh my goodness. To my
Because
fellow Sword and
going
Shield enjoyers,
for Charge
we are
Blade, going
truly
with a
eating good in
full
Wilds.
release.
Those
what
changes
is it
look
called?
delicious. What can I say?
The
And for
Amped
those that
Axe
haven't tried Sword and
release
Shield yet,
and it
here's
not
a
having
really
hit
good
stop
excuse
on it is
to give
actually
it a go.
really bad looking,
But enough
honestly.
of me gushing about the Sword and Shield because
I
I
don't
can
know.
do that for the next hour. You know, there are other weapons too that have had some adjustments. Maybe not as extensive as the four we've shown so far, but many have received tweaks. So, Tokuda-san, could you please take us through these at a broader level?
I generally have a feeling they are not going to tell us anything new. That much. But yeah, seeing the game footage is actually really good. And I will watch the game footage back as
4
well.
つの武器も含めてになるんですが、まずその属性値だったりとか、スキル、の効果も踏まえたエンドコンテナを見越した数値調整というのを、全部機種、広く、
Multiple wounds and
行
unlocked
っていま
onto
す。
one by
そ
one
の
with
過
a
程
brief
で、
delay
意図した
between.
バランスになっていないものだったりとか、
That is a
意図しない
good.
不格差みたいなも
That
の
is
が
honestly a
生まれていた部
good.
分については調整を予定しています。
A good nerf of the bow focus strike, because really the bow focus strike could just be used whenever and it would target all wounds at once.
I don't want there to be
And
unintentional weapon tiering happening.
It was super
I
easy
wanna
to
balance
use and
the
just to
weapon
pull
lineup
off.
so that everything has a valid
So
place
having
and everything is a viable choice.
To
Not
lock
just
onto
for
multiple at
playing the full game when it
a
comes out,
time
but
is actually a really
going through
good
to completing
change.
the game and then moving on to the end game content. I know that these balance adjustments need to stand up for many hours of gameplay from you guys, and that's the intention with
That's a
this
good
overall
nerf for
balancing
the bow,
approach I have.
honestly.
基本的には
And
各武器
and if
種が
they
持つコンセプト
the main
と
attack
か
power
触り
of the
心地
bow,
が
like
実現
the
できている
regular
かってい
attack
うのを
power
重要視した
felt really
調整を
weak.
行っていまして、
That's
強いも
also
のを
something
下
they
げるという
addressed.
よりはどちらかというと低いものを上げていきながら、
Now the thing that I really
負
want
担を
to
できるだ
know
けなくしていく
is
ような
if they listen
方向
to
性
me
で
and
調整
they
しています。
made the
In my general
The
concept
health
is
bar
that I want
normal,
each weapon to
like
feel
if
true
they
to
made
its
an
own unique
option to
concept,
make the
because
health bar
each of them has
normal.
a place in the lineup of 14 weapons.
And they gave us an option to turn off the scout flies. That was the two things I wrote in the questionnaire after the demo.
To make the weapons that were feeling
With
less
feedback.
powerful.
Give us an option to remove the scout flies and give us an
the other
option to
weapons
make
in
the
lineup,
health bar
so
look
that's kinda
normal.
my approach.
はい、その、主だった例として弓を挙げますけ
I
れ
think
ども。
they got that
弓は
feedback, I think,
シルベの
but
矢
I don't
を
know.、
まあ刺してそこに対してこう矢が飛んでいく、機能なんですけど、それとの集中弱点攻撃の方にダメージのソースが、かなり偏っていたんですけれども、
But yeah, I
その
mean
分も
the
通常攻
adjustments
撃
to the
だったり
weapons
だ
are
とか
definitely
直射
going
の
to
よう
be
な
a
ものの威
balancing
力を上げつ
thing,
つ、
as
さらに
usual.
それらの行動のつながりだったり、レスポンスとかを向上させて、その他の行動でもしっかりダメージを取れるような、調整を行ってい
They
ます。
just need to make switch axe super broken.
As on the
Stronger
slide here, the
than-
bow is a
stronger
good
than
example of this
longsword,
kind
then
of
I'm
general
happy, you know?
adjustment. I think that in the version that you guys would have played in the beta, the damage output was getting pretty biased towards using the tracer shots combined with the focus strike attacks. And this is something that I wanted to adjust. So again, as I said, rather than bringing those down, what I've done is bring up the normal shots and the arc shot power, make those attacks more viable, and at the same time, general responsiveness has been improved across the board for the bow, including transitions and chaining between different.
Like it seems like they're taking a
attacks.
good approach,
So
honestly, with
that
the game
makes it feel like a
development,
more cohesive, true to the bow concept type weapon.
which is refreshing, you know?
また集中弱点攻撃で、複数の傷だったりシルベの矢を
I
まとめ
definitely
てロックオン
think-
して破壊することができたんですけども、傷について
I
は
definitely
一つ一
think
つ
there
ロックオン
was
する
never really a
形に
time where the
変更を
monster
行っていま
devs
す
were that responsive to feedback,
One more
honestly.
thing to mention is that as of the beta,
Even in Monster Hunter
the
Rise,
focus strike
and
targeting
Sunbreak,
capability was locking
and
onto
like
multiple
during
wounds
the
more or
Monster Hunter
less
World era, I don't think they were that
simultaneously at the same time.
responsive to feedback.
And I've rebalanced this now so that whenever you,
You know?
try to lock on to multiple wounds, they'll lock on.
Like,
one
yeah,
at a
they
time
got
with a
some
brief delay
feedback
in between
that
each
they
one, so
fixed,
that's another,
but
balance adjustment
not
that's been made
everything,
here.
honestly.
はい、弓についても動画を用意しましたので、ご覧ください。
And you can see that and more in this video. Let's run it.
Let's see it. Yeah, that makes more sense for the bow, honestly. Poor Chatacabra.
このようにですね、単なる下方修正になら
Poor
ないよう
Chatacabra.
に、武器の魅力だったり、ユーザーの選択肢の幅が広
It's
が
going
る
to
よ
be
う
the
に
punching
ことを
bag
意
for
識
this
しなが
game.
ら、すべての武器の調整を行っています。
Yeah, hopefully when you watch that, you get a sense of what I meant, which was I don't want to just bring the powerful aspects of weapons or the more powerful weapons down to the same level. I want to make adjustments to each weapon to make every single weapon feel like a viable choice in the lineup of weapons in Monster Hunter. And
But
that
yeah, once the
players
game
have lots to
releases,
choose
we're
from and
definitely going to
everything
take
has
a
its
tour
place.
of all of the weapons.
Yeah, I really love that philosophy behind all the balancing changes and the improvements. And I know one weapon that I think we'd be remiss if we didn't bring up, and a lot of people are really passionate about, is the hunting horn. Could you talk about some of the changes that the hunting horn is receiving?
What?
狩猟部は特に
A lot of people are passionate about the hunting horn? What?
あった武器だと思うんですけど、
When?
こちらの最終的な仕様変更などはいかがでしょうか
I don't remember ever there
そう
being
で
a
すね
time where a lot of
狩
people
猟
are
部の
passionate about the
基本
hunting
的な
horn.
メカニクスというか、そういうも
Sorry
のにつ
to
いて
throw
は
shade hunting horn
ユー
mains,
ザーさん
but
も僕も含めて、結構気
it
に
is what
入
it
って
is,
い
you
ま
know.
す。なんですけれども、サブ武器としての性能というのがちょっと、強すぎる面がありましたので、そのあたりは手を加えようと思っています。
Hunting horn is a weapon that I myself really enjoy playing, and I think we've heard from lots of players that they find it really fun. It's a very viable main weapon. So actually, the adjustments that I want to make for Monster Hunter Wilds based on the beta were about how it felt a bit too strong as a sub weapon.
OBT ではですね、攻撃力アップ、小の戦率効果までしかなかったので、そこまで問題にならなかったんですけれども、製品版の方では攻撃力アップ大の
Honestly,
戦率
Hunting
効果が
Horn
あった
is
りだとか、あと
relatively,
それらの効果を
I don't know,
時間
low
を
in
長く
terms
する
of
スキルなどもありま
usage,
したので、
always.
サブ武器としてかなりちょっと強い
Like
面
there are some people
が
who
あ
are
りました。
very passionate about it.
it wasn't too bad in the OBT because being a limited slice of the gameplay, the melodies that were available for the hunting horn only actually went up to attack up S. But when you take that into the full game and you're going all the way up to attack up L,
I always
it meant
appreciate
that the
hunting
melody
horn
effects
mains, by the
were
way.
too overpowered. And
Always.
it just became too much of an obvious meta choice to have. the
Honestly,
hunting
every
horn
time
as
I have a
backup
hunting
weapon
horn
because
main
of
on my
how
team, I'm actually
powerful the
really
parameters were
appreciative
whenever you were
because
buffing
they
not
do
just
a
yourself
lot
and
of
your
work.
whole party.
でですね、自分強化の
Like there was that
効果
one
の
time
パラ
in
メータ
Free
ーっていうのを
Ultimate where we were
速度の
hunting
アップも
like
含めて底上げしつ
what was
つ
it?、
他の、プレイヤーへの、戦術効果のパラメーター
I
だったり
think
と
one of the
か
one of the
資
stronger
料上から
monsters.
他の武器
I think it was the double
この
Brachioteos
効
quest,
果時間延長のスキルの
and the
効果
hunting
また
horn
の調
main
整を行
carried
ってい
us
て
throughout
サ
in
ポー
that
ト武器
entire
としての価
quest.
値は残しつつもバランスを整える
It
ような
was
形に
insane.
しています。
So yeah, with a view to rebalancing that, what I've actually done is the melody effects when you strengthen yourself, when you buff yourself, have actually been increased, been made more powerful. But conversely, the effect on others has been decreased to rebalance its focus. The other thing that has changed is that when you change back from the hunting horn to the other weapon that you have with you, the amount of time that the melody effect was being applied, and for an extended amount of time. That skill has been adjusted so that when you change back to your other weapon, it's not going to hang around for as long whenever you've got the buff applied to other players. So I think that those balances still make it a valuable choice as a support weapon, but it just makes it less OP, to use the community phrase.
Do we
hopefully
get
that's
do we get
music for the
wide
ears of our
range
viewers
back?
out there, you know,
Please?
putting respect on the weapon for those that
As a
main
skill?
it and are proud of the tunes they bring to the hunt. And kind of moving on from that a little bit and moving away from weapons. Well, actually, I say that we're moving further into weapons here. We've got some juicy details to go into. Earlier on in the stream, you mentioned to Guda-san in the final version that balance will be adjusted to take into the account the existence of skills that were not included in the open beta test. So that does mean that in Monster Hunter Wilds, the skill building system has changed a lot from what we know, right?
先ほどOBT に入ってなかったようなスキルの存在なども考慮して製品版の全コンテンツを通してバランスを、検討されているとのことでしたが、確かにワイルズでスキルの仕組み自体は大きく変わっていると思うんですけど、そちらについてちょっと詳細に説明してもらえますでしょうか。
はい、OBT を受けた、調整内容
Let's
と
hear
ちょっ
it,
と
Tokuda-san.
話が、変わりますけれども、インタビューなど以外ではちょっとこれまできちんと説明できていなかった部分でもありますので、ご紹介
Only
させてい
two
ただ
iron
きま
ore
す
to。make this, huh?
They
brought back- Yes, they brought back the Rise weaponry. I haven't even seen the weaponry yet. They brought back the fucking Rise weaponry, and I'm so celebrating
I
it.
want to take the chance on today's stream just to kind of really make it clear exactly what the implications of this new
Holy
system are. So
shit, this is
let's
so
take a look at an
good.
example with this screenshot.
Like the Rise weaponry was so much better than the World
パーツ
one.
に装備のスキルが、ついて
You
い
know?
ましたけれども、特定の武器
So
の
much
種類しか
better.
効果がないようなタイプのスキルが入っていると、その
Being
武器に
able to
合う
directly
武器を
craft
選
in
ぶ
the
しかなくなって
weaponry
しま
is
ったりだと
such a
か、組み合わせが
godsend
しにくくなってしまうみたいなことが、発生している
to
部分
actually
があ
keep
りまし
track
た。
of everything.
So on previous titles, the place where you put equipment skills has always been the armor rather than the weapon, right? So that meant if you needed to equip skills
Oh, it
that
has
was
speed
sort of
sharpening
specific to
level
a certain
1
weapon or
on it.
category of weapons, there was sort of an
No
inevitability
slots.
about certain
So the
skills and
weapon
certain
itself
armor gear being the kinda
has
only viable
skills
choice
as well.
whenever you were going to go out with that particular weapon equipped, and that kind of limited, I think, the players' freedom to choose what exactly it was they wanted to wear.
That actually brings up a lot of great, interesting questions because that could make certain weapons more unique than others. Because now you can just check it out stat-wise, right? In World and Rise, you could just check out. You have one weapon that has 120 raw and 20 water elements. And another one has
The other implication of the fact that in
110
Monster
raw
Hunter Wilds you
and
could bring a
maybe
manga
30
and a
water
sub-weapon
elements.
was
So
that
what are you going to
your
use
carefully
for your hunt?
chosen,
That was the only criterion you
skill
would
build
decide
on your
against, right?
armor would be completely wasted
With
and
skills
for
now
not
being
every
on
change weapon,
weapons,
suddenly all
that
those
actually
skills
adds a
that you
lot
put on
more
your armor
variety
might
to
not be relevant
what
depending
weapons
on
you're
what the
going to
second
use,
weapon
right?
was. So the system now has changed so that skills that are mostly tied to weapon functions, such as attack boost and guard, are now attached to the weapons themselves directly. And then other more supplementary skills.
That
such
is
as
actually a
speed
really,
eating,
really good
are still
change.
attached to armor. And by separating out where the skills go, it means that your skill build
Like
will
that
actually
could
a lot more
make
sense
for a
even
lot
as
of
you change
variety in
throughout
weapons,
the hunt.
and especially if they bring back like
So this is a pretty
weapon
significant change
loadouts
to
that we
how
had,
players are
like
going to be able to build their sets, and
the build
hopefully it'll
loadouts from
result in,
Rise as
you know,
well.
lots of
That's
variety in
like
terms
that's
of
like a
the weapons
no-brainer,
people
right?
use and different armor sets. But one question I had is, what happens when weapons are upgraded? Do these skills disappear, or what happens with them?
このシステムになって、例えば武器を強化して派生で新しい
That's
武器
actually an
にする時に
interesting change, and I really want to get
その
into
入って
that
るスキ
skill
ル
system
がなくなったりすることはある
to
とで
see
しょ
if it's better.
はい、
Like the
まあ
point
ちょっとわかりに
system
くいところ
does
な
not
んですごく
return.
いい
Like
質問
that's
なんですけども
confirmation that the point
まあ
system
同
will
じ
not
武
return.
器派生の強化でスキルが消えることという
Basically
ことは、ありません。
Yeah, that's a great question, and maybe a concern people might have had if it wasn't super clear how the system works. So it's a good chance to be very clear about it. Skills will never disappear from a weapon whenever you upgrade it within the same weapon tree.
今こう画面に映っているのが、ホープブレード2で、砥石高速化のスキルが、ついているかと思います。
How long is this going
So
to
as you can
run?
see
Is
here
this
on this
2 hours?
screenshot, the Hope Blade 2 in the equipment info panel, you can see that it's got the speed sharpening equipment skill on it.
Thanks for joining, Kiza. You can join later. In 2 hours, we're going to play.
When you upgrade that, it
We're
changes to a
going to play
different weapon, and I
Xenogears.
think we have a second screenshot prepared, which we
So,
can
yeah.
switch to now.
ホープブ
Thanks
レ
for
ード3
joining.
に強化した形になると、砥石高速化はのスキルはついたまま、見切りの、スキルが新たに追加されています。
So as you can see with this screenshot of the Hope Blade 3, the equipment skill speed sharpening has been retained, and we've got an additional skill called Critical Eye, which has been included with the upgraded weapon.
See ya.
ですので、その、スキル自体はなくならずに、別のものがついたり、
I don't know how long
強
I
化
can
していきな
stream
がら
again
武器派生を、
today.
強化していくことができます。
So as you can see, the skills didn't reduce, and some can be added, and also the level of existing skills might be increased.
I thought this
the
was
more
going
you
for an
upgrade the
hour,
weapon within the
but
tree.
maybe I was mistaken.
また後半の、派生の武器になるほどですね、武器の方にもスロットが空いていて、そこにこう装飾品を入れることによって、自分好みのこうスキルビルドを楽しむことも、可能になります。
Also, in addition to these built-in equipment skills that are baked into each level of the weapon, there are, of course, decoration slots. So the further you go down the weapon tree, the more decoration slots will open up on the weapon at the higher levels, and that's going to let you create your own skill build to your own liking and combine the pre-built ones with the ones you add later using decorations.
This is going to be interesting.
I think that is really, really exciting. I mean, having the skills set this way means that, you know, as we mentioned earlier, that there's going to be far less instances of there being a particular weapon that is the best for, you know, multiple situations. And when you're building your sets, you know, your weapon will directly contribute to that. And also, you know, you can switch between your weapons without it, you know, neutering your armor set that you've kind of been meticulously building. So I'm really, really excited to see, one, what the community discover, and two, like how they use it. And, you know, I can't wait to see what all the different sword and shields have as well. So that's really, really cool. And
That's
now,
a.
you know,
I
let's
think that's a
move on
good
bit. Let's-
change, honestly.
Let's have a little chat about a few other things that we've seen in the beta and things like that. And there's one thing that kind of really stood out to Joe and I, and for anyone in the community who frequents the different Monster Hunter subreddits that are out there. And one of them was the most beautiful collage. It was a collage of many hunters using shielded weapons, pulling the biggest frowns as they guarded against the wrath of monsters, kind of like a kind of face. Now, you know, what's the situation with that? What's going on there, Takuda-san?
今、ジョノまで変顔してると思うんですけど、最後の質問タイムに入らせていただきます。多くのプレイヤー
I
が
don't
気づい
know what
た
they're
仕様
currently
として
talking
は
about,、honestly.
肩を構えたときに、ハンターが若干変顔になり気味だったんですけど、こちらは意図的な仕様なのか、修正されるものなのか教えてください。
はい、変顔にしたかったわけじゃなくて、武器を構えた時にその気張ったような顔に、したかったんですけど、まさかちょっとあそこまで
Yeah,
気張
if
っ
my
た顔
phone
になっ
starts
てる
ringing,
と
I
ちょ
actually
っ
have
と
to
想定
answer
外な
that.
ところがありましたので、
I'm going to
直
leave
し
the
ます。
stream on for you guys, but I actually
Yeah,
have to answer
thank you for
that.
your very demonstrative version of the face. My intention was to show that when someone grabs tight onto a shield to guard an attack, that they would sort of be, grimacing or have an intensity to the expression. But the way it turned out wasn't really what I wanted it to be. So we're going to change that in the final
was a
game and have it
problem?
look a little bit less weird and a little bit more cool and intense.
Well, I'm a little bit sad that it's being changed because it was extremely funny. Totally understand that we want our hunters to be immersed in the world, and that's one of those things that might take you right out of it. So I want to shift gears a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about multiplayer. We did hear some feedback from players that they were a little bit confused on the different ways to get into multiplayer, and just just weren't quite sure how to play with their friends easily. So Tokuda-san, can you touch just a little bit on multiplayer and matching up with friends and how that's going to work in the full game?
変顔がなくなること自体は個人的には少し寂しい思いもあるんですけど、確かにかっこいい顔にしてもらえるんだったら製品版を楽しみにしますということです。次の質問になりますが、オープンベータで多くのプレイヤーからちょっとマルチプレイの仕様について、どういうふうにやればいいかわからない、つながり方わからない、この仕様についてどう使ったらいいかちょっと使いづらく感じた人もいたと思うんですけど、この辺について、製品版の仕様や、使い方のアドバイスを
Honestly, I wasn't really confused about multiplayer that much, but
はい、まず製品版では、ロビーの ID を教え合った人しか入れない、プライベートロビーという機能だったりとか、特定のサークルの人たちだけが集まれるサークルロビーのような、友達と会いやすい機能っていうのが追加されます。
So firstly, in the full game, there will be multiplayer features that weren't included in the open beta test, which I think will make it easier to get together with just the people you want to play with. So one of those will be private lobbies, which, as the name implies, they'll have a lobby ID, and only those people who you've shared the ID with can join in. We'll also see the return of the squad system, and squad lobbies will be available only to your squad members, and that's going to make it so that you can, have your friends get together really easily.
that is
そう
cool.
ですね、OBT ではリンクパーティーや環境リンクといった機能が、入ってい
Squad
たんですけ
lobbies?
ども、
Let's form a
これらは
squad. Let's make the Lightning squad.
が
squad.
ある状態で、
Or whatever.
メンバーの環境が変化していく
I'll join
中で
another squad
有効に機能するようなものなので、一つのフィールドで変化
Seems
の
like
幅が少
guilds
ない
of
OBT だ
sorts,
と
you
ちょっ
know?
と分かりにくい機能に、なっていました。製品版の方では、リリース後にしかるべきタイミングで、情報を、発信していく予定になります。
On the flip side of that, there were features that were in the OBT that I think maybe didn't really, players didn't have a chance to really fully understand them, given the fact that the OBT was such a limited slice of the game. What I'm talking about is the link parties, and also in particular the environmental link feature. These are designed for the full game, where across multiple different maps, each of which has varying weather conditions across different phases. If you imagine getting online, you and Jono and Joe want to play together with me, and we're all in different areas, and we're not synchronized at all, so choosing which monster to hunt or whatever else might be difficult. The environmental link means we can kind of settle on a state for the game to be in and have that synchronized and make our gameplay go a lot smoother. With the OBT, you only had the Windward Plains and a limited amount of changeable extreme weather conditions, and I think a lot of players were a bit sort of having a question mark about what the functionality of these features were, but trust me, it'll make a lot more sense when the full game comes out, and we'll provide more details on how to use those effectively when the time comes.
No, I appreciate the details. I mean, it's really cool to hear that, you'll be able to have a lot more control over the multiplayer experience you want. So if you do want to play with just your pals, you can. If you want to play with your squad,
I think
if you
they
wanna play
already
with
gave
anyone
us
in
a
the world
lot
who's
in
also
terms of
playing, you can. So
multiplayer.
it's great to know that those options are going to be there for our community. And obviously, talking about multiplayer, Monster Hunter Wilds takes the multiplayer experience in Monster Hunter to a whole new level.
One
The
question
biggest
that I
we've
want to
ever
ask
been
is
with 100 player lobbies,
the
and
pause
camps
button
that
actually
can hold
going
up
to
to
work?
16 hunters at a time, which is fantastic. The kind of interactions we're all going to
Because
be
in
able
the
to have and
demo,
that
the
we had
pause
in
button
OBT.
didn't really
Obviously,
work
but with that though,
as
there
intended.
comes a lot of
Because
a
it
lot
would,
of chatter, a lot of stickers.
after a while, it
and
would
if someone's
throw
being
you
a bit
out of
cheeky,
the online session.
spamming stickers
And once you were
excitement
thrown
and
out of the
things
online
like
session,
that,
it would put you
so
back
for
to the
those
main
of us that,
menu.
might want
So
a
pausing
slightly
would just
more
mean you get
relaxed
back to the main
public
menu.
multiplayer experience around,
And that's
chat
not really a
and stickers.
great pause.
What's the situation there going forward?
マルチプレイの設定面といえばですけど、多くのプレイヤーから寄せてもらっているフィードバックとしては、これだけたくさんの人数のプレイヤーが同時につながっているロビーになってしまうと、どうしてもチャットの方でメッセージやステッカーがバババってちょっとスパムのように入ってきてしまって、落ち着けないようなロビーになってしまっているという、フィードバックが多かったんですけど、こちらについて何か対策を考えられたりしますでしょうか。
はい、まず製品版の方では、特定の人の、発言を、
The translating makes it a little bit hard to watch, honestly, but I get what they were going for, right?
Oh, yeah, firstly, in the full game, if one particular person is blowing up in the lobby chat, you'll be able to mute them. So that's a very targeted feature you'll be able to make use of.
That is good.
またですね、
Please.
クエストだったり、リンクパーティーを組んだときには、チャットチャンネルが自動で切り替わって、ロビーメンバーのチャット通知がされなくなるなど、いくつか対策を、入れていっています。
Also, we're going to adjust how the chat channels work whenever you do something like start a quest or a link party. What's going to happen is that the chat will automatically switch over to just the participants of that quest or that party, and you'll stop being notified of the general lobby chatter. And I think that will improve the feeling of whenever you start something with just your friends or other players, that it limits the range of who you're going to hear stuff from.
On it, yeah. The sticker spam in particular was something that I got a few messages about, and I watched.
Honestly, the sticker spam wasn't even that bad.
Definitely something that
I don't know.
people
Maybe
would've
I
liked
was
to adjust,
playing at
so it's great
times
to hear
that
that's happening.
there was not a lot of people.
Something that I was really
lobbies.
pleasantly surprised by when booting up the open beta were all the options for the different HUD display to have it bigger, to adjust it whether you're sitting at a TV or you're sitting at a desk. But even with that, I think there are additional areas where that could be improved. So what are our plans in the full game to adjust the HUD even further?
ハードの表示についてですけど、OBT 段階でもすでに
Let me turn off
テ
Scout
レビ
Flies,
向け
please.
の大きさやデスク向けの大き
I
さ
don't
の
need them.
設定があったりして、
No one
かなり
needs
細か
them.
く入ってたと思うんですけど、さらに製品版に向けてハードの表示のオプションを追加しようと思っているのでしょうか。
そうですね、まずオプション以前にですね、そもそもの表示の部分で、武器の、固有の表示
Please
だ
tell
った
me
り
they
だとか、
fixed
一
the
部の
health bar.
要素の大きさなど、見やすさに関わる調整っていうのは、入れていって、より見やすく、しています。
Well, firstly, even before we get into the idea of options you can change, I am looking at feedback on the size of the specific weapon unique UI elements that each weapon has. And we're going to review those and make sure that by the time the game comes out that the relative sizes of all those elements is going to make sense for everyone.
のアップデートで、オプションなどの拡充というのも、随時検討しております。
Please change the health
As
gauge.
for additional UI options, we're considering if we can add any in future post-launch updates, so stay tuned on that.
Nice. Watch this space. Now, thank you so much for answering all these questions so far, Takura-san. And, we are getting near the end of the pre-launch community update stream. So I have one small question that you may have seen amongst the community and one that Joe and I see everywhere. And, let's just between us, we'll keep it between us. Is there going to be another open beta test before launch?
こちらからの最後の質問になるんですけど、
That is a valid question.
マネージャーの方の DM やインボックスにも入ってる質問なので、どうしても聞かせてほしいんですが、ここだけの話、ぶっちゃけ OBT はまた次回遊べる機会があるのでしょうか。教えてください、徳田さん。
完全に領土さんとかが答えるような案件だと思うんですけども、特別にお答えすると、検討自体は、しています。ですが、もし 追加の OBT を実施するとしてもですね、基本的には前回の OBT を遊べなかった方だったりだとか、その追加の、項目テストが、主な目的となりますので、今日お話したような、内容っていうのは基本的に製品版とか Day1 パッチ向けの対応に、
That is a
になって
long
いますので
answer.
OBT には反映されない形になります。ちょっとその点はご了承いただきたいです。
What I'm gathering is
That's
complicated.
the kind of question where I'm used to leaving up to Ryozo, who'd be here with us, and he could answer that kind of high-level decision. But since you've asked, I will address that. We are considering if we will bring back the open beta test, but I would need to make clear that that would purely be essentially another chance for players who missed it the first time around to get a chance to try the game again, and we might maybe be able to add a couple of additional options here or there for people to try out. It wouldn't be something where all the various detailed weapon adjustments we've discussed today would be included. Those are strictly being worked on the basis of including them in the full game, including the day one patch. So again, it's something we haven't ruled out yet, is bringing back the open beta test, but please wait for the full game to come out in order to experience all the wonderful changes we've discussed today. Hopefully you can understand why.
So yeah,
we had to
that
separate
probably
those two
puts a pin in it for
considerations.
me. They're not going to bring
All
back
right, yeah,
an open
we'll have to
beta
stay
or a
tuned
second open
for
beta.
the future.
Honestly,
For any news.
I'm okay with that.
We have covered so much today. I think this has been quite a long stream already. Is there anything that we didn't talk about that you'd like to discuss before we wrap things up?
今日は結構長時間にかけていろんな詳細について教えてもらえたのですごく良かったですが、逆に徳田さんの方からジョノたちからの
Honestly
質問
weird
で
that they're
カバー
calling
で
it
きないポイント
pre-launch
があれば
community
この
update.
機会にどうぞ
The launch is
教え
in
てく
2
ださい。
months.
はい、この前のメディアプレビューツアーのインタビューでちょっと一つ、言い間違いをしたところがありますので訂正させていただきたいです。
Yeah, there's actually something, it's not so much new information, but I want to have the chance to clarify and maybe make up for a misstatement I might have made during some of the press interviews that we had about the game. So that's something I'd like to discuss now.
サポートハンターが傷を壊さないオプションがあるというふうに言ってしまったんですけど、そちらは電話には入らない形になります。
I think in at least one interview I said that there would be an option in the game where you could set it so that the support hunters who can join you via the SOS flare would not go and break wounds for you, that they'd leave that for you. And that's something that actually won't be in the game on day one.
発売日の仕様としては、プレイヤーが傷をつけてからしばらくの間、壊さないんですけど、1分以上ある程度経つとですね、集中弱点攻撃を使用して傷を破壊することが、発生するようになります。
So the way it's going to work at launch is that if you inflict a wound, but you, for whatever reason, you're not really proactively breaking that wound with your own focus strike, and a certain amount of time passes, maybe a minute or more passes, and you still haven't gone for it, that's the point at which the support hunters will start to look to use a focus strike to break the wound for you.
サポートハンターの、キャラクターによって壊しやすいだったり壊しにくいだったり、あと乗りやすい乗りにくいだったり、先行玉を使ってくれやすいみたいな、行動特性というのはキャラクターによって異なります。
That's something that's sort of unique to each support hunter's personality, though. Each character has a slightly different approach and an AI working for them, so whether or not they're quicker on the draw with focus strikes or less so, it also applies to other features like how often they might try and mount a monster, whether they find mounting harder, whether they're busting out things like flash pods more often or less often. Those all kind of depend on the character themselves, so it's not something that's going to happen on a strict schedule no
That's
matter
cool.
what.
どのサポートハンターに来てほしいかという指定は、発売時はできないんですけど、タイプトルアップデートでは、検討しております。
So the option that I'm looking to add, perhaps in a title update after launch, is letting players specify which NPC support hunters can join them and which ones they don't want to join them. So that's how I intend to add the ability to control the frequency of that particular feature.
あと細かいことですけど、Day1 パッチだとお供とかサポートハンターが、サインを、送ると自分のところに、来てくれるようになって、ちょっと便利になってます。
A long time in.
Relatedly, one additional feature I wanted to confirm was when you use the signal, this sort of ping that you activate through the menus, the palicos and the support hunters will come to your side during a hunt. So that's just a little quality of life feature that we've added.
Oh, that's really, really cool. And yeah, thank you for the little tidbits of information there. We really appreciate it, Takuda-san. And with that, I think we were kind of coming to the end of our pre-launch community update. So we hope you've all enjoyed it. Joe, anything you want to say before we pass over to Takuda-san and Patrick?
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody out there for sharing their feedback. I know we say a lot that we are listening, and hopefully you guys feel that way after seeing all the updates here. And definitely want to take the chance to thank Takuda-san for joining us. This has been super informative, and I know you're super busy, and the team is extremely busy getting the game ready for launch. So we very much appreciate it, and I'd like to toss it over to you for any closing remarks here.
今日は非常に珍しい機会として直接いろんなお話を聞けて、徳田さんにはこの発売直前のご多忙中の時期にこれだけお時間いただいて非常に感謝しております。最後に徳田さんからユーザーへのメッセージなどあればお願いします。
はい、まずこのような直接ユーザーの皆さんに声を届ける機会を作ってくれた、ジョーとジョの、パトリック、またサポートしてくれた皆さんに、感謝、申し上げます。
Firstly, let me take the chance to thank you guys, Jono and Joe, the community managers, as well as Patrick. It's always slightly weird to refer to yourself when you're translating, but let me go with it. Thank you for your support in setting up this opportunity today.
イギリスとアメリカ、日本と、3拠点で時差も大きい中、すごく大変
Play
な作業だと
Monster
思ってます
Hunter. That's all I
が
have to say.
ありがとうございました。
At this point, just play
We're
Monster
working
Hunter.
across 3 time zones here, so I'm in Tokuda-san, that is in Japan. Jono and Patrick are in the UK, and Joe is in the US. So
Okay,
it's difficult to
that's
coordinate
it.
across.
I have to be off. Sorry, but in about 1.5 hours, 90 minutes, we're going to play Xenogears on a regular stream, and yeah, that's going to be it for me today. Thank you all so much for watching today's stream. I enjoyed it a lot, and if you want to see more Monster Hunter content, obviously I'm going to cover Wild's info a lot. And if you want to see more of this, please leave a like and subscribe. It helps out the channel a huge amount. And with that, I'm going to end the stream. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, try letting out.